Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube tutorial on how to do two-sum. So what even is two-sum? It is a LeetCode problem that companies use to try to see if you can code. And I've been trying to study programming interviews and all that jazz. So if you guys need to, you're gonna learn how to use LeetCode to solve some problems. And as of right now, there's not really anyone coding in Lua. It's not even in this interpreter. And in the solutions, there's literally no such thing as Lua in here. So that's kind of sad. But we're just here to learn, I guess, on what even is a lead code problem. So basically, we're gonna get this problem description and we are gonna get input and we're gonna have to output some values based on this problem description right here. So it says, given an integer of arrays, nums, and integer target, return indices of the two numbers such that they add up to target. You may assume each input would have exactly one solution and you may not use the same element twice. You can return the answer in any order. So usually people, they can code here, they use Visual Studio Code or some IDE, but we are going to script this right here into the workspace. That's how we run code. And then we're going to get output over here. It's probably the best thing that we can do. Anyways, let's try and get to the input, which is nums 2, 7, 11, and 15, and our target is 9. So given this input of numbers, like this nums array, or list, or table, we can call it table in Roblox, we have to get two numbers that add up to the target 9, and we have to output those two numbers location wise. So 0 is because nums at 0 is 2, and 1 because nums at 1 is 7. So 7 plus 2 is 9. And honestly, because we start from in Roblox, we start from if we were to just print a table here, hello. If we were to print this table and we just run it, we are going to get a table, but we start at 1 in Lua, okay? You guys probably know that. You guys are probably advanced scripters, whoever is watching this. But yeah, so we just need to return 1 and 2 for our input. So basically, how would we solve this? Let's start with getting these values, these input. So let's set up a function. Function solution, and it's gonna take in nums and target. We should probably call it two-sum, I guess. We can use the same thing as they do. And in Roblox, to make a table, you use these curly brackets, and that's how you make a table. Okay, so how would we solve this problem? It seems easy in hindsight, you just look at the two numbers, but in programming, there's no such thing as just look at the two numbers. We gotta actually go in order. Here's one solution. This solution is going to be our brute force solution, okay? So our brute force solution is that we go for the first number. So you go 2, and you have another pointer that has a second number. So these are two variables. We can call it I and j. So if I is going to be 2 and j is going to be 7, 2 plus 7 is going to give us 9. And once we have 9, which is our target value, I'll just name it T for target, you guys. Hopefully you remember. So if it equals our T, so if I plus j is equal to T, then we would return I and j in a table like that. This I is going to be 0. The value of I is going to be 0, and the value of j is going to be 1. So how would we solve that? We would basically check this one, check if the target value is 9. Let's say our target value is 2 plus 15, which is 17. First, you have to check these two values, 2 and 7. Then you have to check these two values, 2 and 11. Then you check this value, which is 2 and 15, and then we're like, okay, well we're now at 17, which is our target, so we would return I and j together. But if our problem was if our problem was to find like 18 or something like that, then we have to actually move this I pointer. So then we go to this one, and then we go to this one, and then we're going to be like, oh my gosh, 18's not in here. Actually we're gonna go like this, and that's gonna be like 7 plus 11 equals 18. So that means if we actually print it out, we're going to do 2 plus 7 first, and that's gonna be 9. 2 plus 11 first, which is gonna be 13. 2 plus 15, which is gonna be 17, and then now we go move this j value. This is the j value. Actually, this is the I value, and this is the j value. Okay? Then we increment the I value after we do these 3 comparisons to make it equal the target value. Okay? So let's do 7 plus 11, and then that's equal to 18. Alright? But the problem is that this problem uses an inner for loop. So for like I and then j, it uses an inner for loop and then an outer for loop. So this outer for loop is going to be time complexity of n, because let's say that m is actually going to be n minus 1 element, right? Because if we do j plus 1, that means we're doing, okay, if we're going to make this j equal I, and then you plus 1 to it, that's basically n, right? You can just think of n is I. So that means if we do n, so this right here, this j is actually n minus 1. But that is also in constant time, right? I mean, not constant, it's in m time. So that's basically saying, okay, you grab the big O, you get n, which is the outer loop, and then the inner loop, right, is going to be n minus 1. Oh my gosh, what even is n minus 1, right? So then you just multiply this to each other. So then that is actually going to be n squared minus n. Hopefully that makes sense, guys. So this is actually, you just, in big O, time complexity or whatever, you would remove this, because that negative thing, it doesn't really matter. This is the bigger one that matters. That's why this is an n squared problem or whatever. Or that's what I'm thinking. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Alright, so then let's move on to coding it in Python, because I think it's good to like know how to code it in Roblox, but in real life you probably would use Python more. So this is like the easiest coding language, and I think it's kind of similar to Lua. So I'm going to implement it in Python first. So first we need the outer loop, right? So we need to loop through this numbers list in the outer loop. So what we can do in Python is for I in I value. So just think of it like in I pairs, if you guys know what that is. But this enumerate is what I pairs is, and you just do nums. If you guys know what Roblox coding is or whatever. So then we get the j value now. J value in enumerate through the nums again, but guys, but we are going to just look at j, right? You actually start from this value. That's what j wants. It wants I. Wherever I is, you add 1 to it. So if I is here, we just plus 1, and this is going to be our j value. It's going to be like at our 7 pointer. So how would we do that? You just do I plus 1 here. And that is basically our j value. So Ri and j, this j is going to be that list. And that's why we would like, we're not doing 2 plus 2 again. We want to do 2 plus 7, 2 plus 11, 2 and 15. And now we can just do if our I value plus our j value is equal to our target value, then we would just return I. And here's the weird thing. This is our j value, right? So you do j plus I plus 1. I is going to equal to 2, 7, 11, and 15. And then our j is going to be equal to 7, 11, and 15. When we do I plus j plus 1, what that is saying is we're going to get our I value, which is, let's say we're starting over here, and let's say that's at 0, okay? And our j value is starting from here. So that means, what the heck? J is going to be 0, but then, okay, so you start from, yeah, that would make sense because I plus j plus 1, that would be our, whatever this value is right here, our 7th value. Okay, and then once we get here, our j value is going to become 1, but then our I value is staying at 0, so you can just think of it as j1 plus 1. So then that's equal to 2. And then j goes here again, and that's 2. Okay, but when it goes over here, it's going to be 1, so that's why we would put 1, and then it would look at this 0 again, plus 0, plus 1. And that's going to give us 2 again, because, you know, we're starting at 7, or whatever. And honestly, hopefully that makes sense to you guys. It works, but that was a little tricky for me. But yeah, that is going to be a n squared solution. So how would we code that in Roblox? Okay, we're gonna just submit it, just see that it works. Okay, it didn't work. Oh, I forgot to put a semicolon. Whoops. Okay, well, let's see if it works. Obviously, it's gonna work. I did it like a few seconds ago. Okay. Anyways, yeah, it works. It works well. And we're just gonna do that in Lua now. So in Lua, what it does is we're not gonna return 1 and 2, okay? 1 and 2 is 2 and 4. We are actually gonna return 2 and 3 because in Lua you start the tables at 1. So I'm just gonna do that. So it would be the same thing, but we would just do 4, and then we do, let's do I number in pairs probably. We could probably do it in pairs, but we can probably do nums for I number. Oh, do nums, okay. And then for j number in nums, we would actually start it at, I don't know if you can split it, but actually give me a second. Okay, let's start at the beginning, and then we're going to go to the length of numbers, and then we're gonna just increment by 1. Okay, we're just gonna write a for loop that does that. Alright, and then for j equals I, so we're gonna set j to equal to I plus 1, and then go all the way to the length of number and then increment it by 1. So we can just take out this -1 because it usually increments it by 1 by itself. What does it say? So for loop starts at 0, but array starts at 1. Okay, no wonder we gotta start at 1. We gotta go 1 all the way to the end of the list. Okay, and then this is gonna be our j, it's gonna be I plus 1. So now we just do if nums at I plus nums at j equals target, then we can return, we're going to return a list of I and j. So it's kind of the same thing in Python, but you know, it just looks pretty weird. Um, okay, let's see if it works. So we're gonna just do toSum. We're gonna print toSum of nums and target. Okay. So we're gonna run. We're gonna just press run here. So we got 1 and 2. And 1 and 2 in the numbers is 2 and 7, and that equals equal to 9. So now let's try it with this one. Now let's try run the thing. Alright, so this is our second example. This is our first example. Our first example, 1 and 2. So 0, 1. That works, honestly, because, you know. And then 1 and 2, 2 and 3. See, guys. And that's how you do toSum in a for loop using Lua. This is a big O of n squared solution. This is our time. And our space complexity is going to be, well, we don't really use any space except for this thing. And this is honestly constant, so our space is going to be big O of 1. We literally don't use any space here. We don't like store any numbers anywhere. And that's time and space complexity for that brute force solution. But now let's go into I'll just name this n2 for n squared, because you know it's our n squared solution. Okay, now let's go into our like the best solution, or the prime solution. I don't know what to call it, guys. So our best solution to solving this problem would actually be, we keep another list. So this is going to be containing n memory. So for each number in here, we're going to store a value here. And what value would we store here? Well, let's go through the first number. Then we get the target value. Let's use the target value minus I. Okay, what does that minus I equal to? That equals to 7. So if 9 minus 2 is equal to 7, we would store this here as our key. And our value over here would be 1. Let's use just Roblox tables real quick. So this, we're just starting at 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So once we get over here, we're going to now check inside this table of values. We're going to try to find a key of 7. Okay? And if it finds the key of 7, then that means we found our answer, because we're just getting like the complement of it. So that means if we get over here, we're gonna be like, oh wow, 7. So that's good. Let's stop our loop, because this value right here, which is going to be 2, and then plus 7 is going to equal to 9. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm just storing the complement as the number for the key. If our target was, let's say our target was 13. Okay, we would have 7. Wait, no, we wouldn't have 7. We would do 13 minus 2, and that would be 11, and then that would be at index 1. So then we're going to get to the 7, and then we're going to be like, okay, 13 minus 7. 13 minus 7 is probably 5, thinking. And then you put it 2 here, and then be like, okay. There's no 7 is not in this table, so we just put our complement into here, this table right here. So then we find 11, we get to 11, and then you just put it here. And then that's going to be like, okay, well, this index right here is going to be 3. You put I as 3, and then whatever this is, let's name it comps. You do comps, and then you use the key, which is 11, which is I, which is nums at I, or something like that. And then that would be the value of 3, I think. No, that would be 1. Wait, no, that would be, yeah, that would be this thing right here. That would be 1. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you guys. And then this would be 3. Alright, so how would we code that in Python? So to code that in Python, we would just, we would make a set, which is this our complementary list. So comps equals a table. And then we can just go through the list of numbers. So let's go through the list of numbers for each number in nums. What we want to do is we want to check if there's a comps. Well, let's make our complement number. So we gotta do target minus number. And then we probably need to enumerate this now because we probably need the I value since we're looping through this and we need this value right here, this thingy. So then that we would need to use enumerate. Okay. And now we just do if our comps has the number, if there is a 11 in our list, if comps at number, yes, then we would return a list, which is comps at num. Okay, and then we put I here, I think. Else, if there is no comps at num, then we do comps at we would put the complement here, and then we would use I there. So that means if there exists a number which is 11 equals 2, and 2 is going to be in the complement. Okay, that one makes sense. So this should work. So in Python you probably need to do this number. If there's a, so what would that mean? If there is number in comps list. So if there's this number in the comps list, then you would return the comps or something like that. Alright, so that's good. It works. Let's submit it. Cool. So now we're going to implement it in Lua. First we need to do initialize the function name. So we're just gonna call it to some n because it takes n time to traverse this to this function. And then we're gonna give it nums and target like before. Now what we will do is, so we're gonna just copy the Python, but we're gonna implement it in Lua. So we have to have a comps list, which is this. Now we just need to loop through the numbers table. So for I, and number, so this is gonna be our index. And then instead of enumerate, what we do in Lua, we use pairs, but instead of pairs, we use I pairs. So now the I pairs it's gonna give us the index and also the number. So you can do nums and then now we just do, we need to get the complement, which is going to be target minus number. Okay. And don't worry about the underline. It's just they're complaining about it being local and whatnot. So then, if there is a complement, if number in complements. Oh, okay. So if the number is in the comps, then what we can do is we would return the value of comps at number and also I. And that should be, oh, we gotta return it as a table like that. All right. Else, if we don't have the number in the complements list, what we will do is we will just add it to the complement list. So we would use a complement here, and we're gonna give it the I value. Complement. Okay. So honestly, I'm just gonna make it local so I don't have to deal with these red underlines. So if we press play here, but we would get the same output as n2, but we can just use n. So let's run it, play it, should be fine. And 1 2 1 2. So yeah, that's how you solve this problem, guys. Let's try it with the second value too. So yeah, that's how you do the Lua two-sum problem. If you guys enjoyed this episode, leave a like, comment, maybe subscribe, and then I'll try and make more of these episodes. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.